The hum of the commercial freezers at Sweet Scoops was a constant backdrop to Maya's summer. At 21, months away from her senior year of college, she had expected her seasonal gig at the local parlor to be simple. Scoop ice cream, wipe down marble countertops, collect her paycheck, and figure out what she actually wanted to do with her life. Instead, she was currently drowning in a sea of artisanal dairy and unspoken tension. "You're over-scooping the mint chip, Maya," a smooth voice said from behind her. Maya turned to see Julian standing at the entrance of the supply room. At 35, Julian possessed an effortless air of control. He wore crisp button-down shirts with the sleeves neatly rolled to his elbows, looking more like an executive consultant than the owner of a neighborhood ice cream shop. He stepped closer, placing a hand gently over hers on the scoop handle to adjust her grip. 3 ounces per scoop, Julian murmured, his tone soft, measured, and lingering just a second longer than necessary. "If we lose control of the portion size, the margins slip, right?" "Margins?" Maya said, her heart doing an annoying little flip despite her best efforts. Julian offered stability, structure, and a look that suggested he saw her as far more than just hourly labor. Before she could adjust her posture, a loud crash echoed from the back prep kitchen, followed by the sound of metal pans clattering across tile. "Nobody panic. The Belgian chocolate is safe," Leo shouted as he burst through the swinging doors, a smear of marshmallow fluff across his cheek. Leo was 19, a sophomore at the local university, and chaos incarnate. He wore a faded band tee under his apron, his messy hair falling into his eyes as he grinned at Maya. "Julian, man, you gotta try this," Leo said, holding up a tasting spoon loaded with a dark, textured scoop. "I mix sea salt, dark chocolate, and pulverized spicy potato chips. Call it the midnight cram session." Julian rubbed the bridge of his nose, stepping back from Maya with a controlled sigh. "Leo, we've discussed this. Off-menu experiments waste inventory. The customers want French vanilla and salted caramel, not snack food. The customers don't know what they want until we show them," Leo countered, winking at Maya. Maya looked between the two of them. Julian represented a quiet, mature harbor where everything was predictable and secure. Leo was a wild tide, unpredictable and full of excitement. Caught between the two, Maya found herself holding a melting scoop of mint chip, completely unsure of where she stood. By 8 p.m., a summer thunderstorm hit the town, pouring torrents of rain against the shop's glass storefront. The streets cleared out, leaving Sweet Scoops quiet and dimly lit. Leo's shift had ended at 7, leaving Maya and Julian to perform the monthly inventory audit. The atmospheric storm outside only amplified the intimacy inside. "You're quiet tonight, Maya," Julian said, flipping through a clipboard near the main display case. "Just thinking about the fall?" Maya replied, sweeping the spotless floor. "Graduation is coming up faster than I thought. Everyone keeps asking me what my grand plan is." Julian set the clipboard down and leaned against the counter, looking at her with genuine warmth. "You don't need a grand plan right away. Some people take time to build something real." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "I've been thinking about expanding the shop, opening a second location by the harbor next spring. I need someone I can rely on to run this store. Someone smart, capable, like you." Maya paused with her broom. "You mean as a manager?" "I mean as a full partner," Julian said softly, stepping closer. "You have a natural talent for this business, Maya. And honestly, working with you has been the best part of my year." The air between them grew heavy. Julian offered a clear, structured path, a career stability, and a mature relationship with a man who clearly admired her. It was safe, tempting, and entirely mapped out. Before she could answer, the front bell chimed violently as the door swung open. "I forgot my jacket," Leo yelled, soaking wet from the downpour, shaking out his drenched canvas coat like a golden retriever. Julian's posture immediately stiffened. "Leo, we're closed. We're in the middle of inventory." I know. I just dropped my coat in the back," Leo said. Then his eyes caught Maya's. Hey Maya, wait, since you're still here, you have to taste the finalized batch of the spicy mango crunch before Julian freezes the batch out tomorrow. Julian checked his watch, clearly unimpressed. It's late, Leo. 5 minutes. Leo pleaded, pulling Maya by the hand toward the back kitchen before Julian could protest. In the small back kitchen, lit by bright fluorescent overheads, Leo pulled a stainless steel tub from the walk-in freezer. He scooped a small sample onto a wooden spoon and handed it to her. Try it, he said, watching her intently. Maya took the bite. The sweet tropical mango hit first, followed immediately by a sharp chili heat. And the crunch of toasted coconut. Her eyes widened. Leo, this is actually amazing. Leo beamed, stepping closer to the stainless steel prep table. The playful energy melted into something sincere. I knew you'd get it. Everyone else here just wants to follow the recipe book, but you actually care about creating something new. Leo, Maya began, feeling her breath catch. I mean it, Maya, Leo said quietly, leaning in slightly. You're bound for bigger things than just filling orders. If I had it my way, we'd pack up, take a road trip down the coast and open our own pop-up spot. No rules. Just us. Maya was pinned between two entirely different visions of her future. Julian offered her an anchor in the harbor. Leo offered to tear down the sails and head into the open sea. I should get back to inventory? Maya stammered, pulling back gently just as Julian walked into the kitchen threshold, his expression cool and unreadable. Inventory is finished, Maya, Julian said, his voice flat. You can head home for the night. The sun beat down relentlessly on the town, pushing temperatures into the mid-90s. It was the annual Free Scoop Day at Sweet Scoops, a promotional event that brought out half the city and tested the sanity of anyone behind the counter. By noon, the line wrapped around the block, shimmering in the heat haze. Inside, the air conditioning was struggling, and the shop was a whirlwind of clinking metal scoops, whirring blenders, and shouting voices. Julian operated like a general, maintaining crisp precision despite the heat. Keep the lines moving, folks. Maya, focus on waffle cones. Leo, handle the pickup register. Leo was in full energy mode, sweat glistening at his temples as he scooped at breakneck speed, cracking jokes with customers to keep the line moving. Maya was stuck in the middle, filling orders as fast as her arms could move, her apron dusted with sugar and cocoa powder. Every time Maya handed a cone to Julian, their fingers brushed, lingering with unspoken questions about their conversation during the storm. Every time she looked over at Leo, he offered a conspiratorial smile, reminding her of his wild invitation to run away down the coast. The heat outside was unbearable, but inside, the emotional pressure was reaching an absolute boiling point. By 2 p.m., the rush had reached a fever pitch. The noise level in the shop was deafening. A roar of chatter, crying toddlers, and the steady beat of pop music over the speakers. Leo slid a towering, extravagant creation onto the counter. It was a massive glass boat filled with 3 scoops of deep dark chocolate, dripping hot fudge, covered in whipped cream, and crowned with double rainbow sprinkles. Order for Alex, Leo shouted at the top of his lungs over the noise. Immediately, 2 very different people stepped forward from opposite ends of the crowd, arriving at the pickup spot at the exact same moment. On the left was Alex number 1, a 6'4" competitive weightlifter wearing a tiny neon pink tank top that barely contained his shoulders. On the right was Alex number 2, a frail, 80-year-old woman wearing a floral cardigan, clutching a minuscule, teacup poodle in her purse. Is that the triple Choco Blast sundae with extra fudge? Leo asked, holding the towering glass bowl. Before the weightlifter could speak, the elderly woman let out a gasp of utter delight. Oh, my sweet heavens! My cardiologist told me to avoid dairy, but a lady has to live a little. She reached out with surprising speed, grabbed the massive chocolate mountain, plunged a spoon into the top, and shoved a huge bite into her mouth. She closed her eyes, letting out a blissful sigh. The massive weightlifter blinked, looking down at his small white paper receipt, then at the empty counter, and finally at the tiny woman devouring the calorie bomb. Wait, the weightlifter said, his deep voice trembling slightly. I ordered the sugar-free, fat-free skim milk vanilla for my cut. Julian, spotting the error from across the room, quickly rushed over with a tiny paper cup containing a single, modest scoop of plain white vanilla with a microscopic pink plastic spoon. Here you are, sir, Julian said smoothly, handing over the tiny cup. The giant weightlifter held the microscopic scoop in his massive, calloused hand. He looked down at the tiny pink spoon, then turned his head to look at the sweet grandmother, who was currently covered in hot fudge and giving him a bright, mischievous thumbs up. Enjoying the gains, ma'am? The giant man asked quietly, looking completely defeated. Every single calorie, darling, she beamed back, wiping fudge from her chin. Behind the counter, Maya buried her face in a towel to muffle her laughter. Leo leaned against the ice cream freezer, wheezing with tears in his eyes, and even Julian's strict, professional facade cracked into a genuine, wide smile. For 2 minutes, the overwhelming tension in the shop vanished, replaced by pure, absurd joy. The hilarity of the afternoon dissolved as the sun began to set. The crowd thinned out, leaving behind sticky counters, empty tubs, and worn-out staff. While cleaning the back storage room, Julian stumbled across 3 extra tubs of Leo's unauthorized spicy mango crunch stored in the commercial freezer. Leo, Julian called out, his voice sharp and carrying into the main lobby. Leo walked back, wiping down his hands. What's up, boss? Julian pointed inside the freezer. I thought I was clear about non-standard inventory. You're using store ingredients for your personal passion projects without permission. The customers love it, Julian. I handed out samples today and people were begging for full scoops. Leo fired back, stepping into the room. You're so focused on playing it safe that you don't see what actually makes this place fun. This is a business, not your personal playground. Julian barked, stepping closer. Some of us take this work seriously because our future depends on it. Or maybe you're just mad because Maya actually liked my flavor better than your standard vanilla. Leo countered, his voice dropping into a dangerous quiet. Maya stepped into the doorway, her eyes wide. Guys, stop. Julian turned to look at Maya, his expression hardening. No, Maya. We need to clear the air. This isn't just about ice cream anymore. Is it? Both men turned to look at her. Julian standing rigid and professional, offering a secure life in the town she knew. Leo standing rebellious and free, offering a wild dive into the unknown. You need to make a choice, Maya, Julian said softly, though the authority in his tone remained. About the shop, and about us. Maya looked between them, her stomach churning as the heavy silence filled the room. The silence in the back kitchen of Sweet Scoops was heavy, broken only by the hum of the freezers. Maya looked at Julian, then at Leo, feeling the weight of their expectations pressing down on her. I can't do this right now, Maya said, her voice quiet but firm. She took off her apron, hung it on the hook by the door, and walked out into the cool evening air. The next afternoon was Maya's day off, but neither man left her in peace for long. At 2 p.m., Julian called and asked to meet her at the coffee shop across town. He sat across from her with 2 fresh lattes, looking entirely composed, though his eyes carried a rare vulnerability. I apologize for yesterday, Julian began, reaching across the table to lightly touch her hand. I shouldn't have put you on the spot in front of Leo, but my offer stands, Maya. I spoke with my financial advisor this morning. We can draft the co-ownership papers for the new harbor location. By next month, I can give you security, a real career, and a life where you never have to worry about what comes next. Together, we could build an empire in this town. 2 hours later, while Maya was walking through the city park trying to clear her head, Leo fell into step beside her, carrying 2 iced teas. I know Julian tried to pitch you the corporate dream, Leo said with a crooked smile, setting a gentle hand on her shoulder. But that's not you, Maya. You're meant for something bigger than running a second ice cream shop in your hometown. My buddy has a camper van. We leave at the end of the month, drive up the Pacific Coast Highway, work odd jobs, and try every weird food spot between here and Washington. Come with me. No plans, no schedules, just total freedom. Maya looked at Leo's hopeful face, then thought of Julian's steady gaze. One offered a polished, predetermined future. The other offered a wild, unpredictable escape. But as she walked home alone, a quiet realization began to take root in her mind. Maya spent the evening sitting on the wooden dock overlooking the lake at the edge of town. The water reflected the deep orange and purple hues of the setting sun. For months, she had been agonizing over a single question: Julian or Leo? She had allowed herself to be swept up in their feelings, their visions, and their rivalries. Julian saw her as the final piece to complete his organized life. Leo saw her as the perfect companion for his chaotic adventure. Both men cared for her, but both of their paths were fundamentally theirs, not hers. She pulled out her laptop, opened her browser, and pulled up an email draft she had started 3 weeks ago. It was an application for a competitive, paid autumn internship at a major creative marketing firm in Chicago, a program she had dreamed about since her sophomore year, but had put off applying to because she was afraid to leave her comfort zone. Maya looked at the deadline, midnight tonight. She took a deep breath, filled out the remaining portfolio sections, attached her resume, and hit submit. For the first time all summer, the knot in her stomach completely loosened. She didn't want the safety of Julian's harbor, nor did she want to drift aimlessly in Leo's wake. She wanted to steer her own ship. On Friday morning, an hour before Sweet Scoops opened, Maya called Julian and Leo to the shop. The two men sat at a corner booth, exchanging cool, tense glances. Maya stood at the head of the table holding a small clipboard. "Thank you both for meeting me," Maya began, her voice steady and clear. Julian leaned forward. "Maya, if you've made your decision—" "I have," Maya interrupted gently. She looked Julian in the eyes. "Julian, you showed me what true ambition looks like, and you gave me confidence in my professional abilities. But I can't be your co-manager, and I can't be your partner. That's your dream, not mine." Julian blinked, caught off guard, but slowly nodded, a bittersweet understanding settling over his features. Maya then turned to Leo. "And Leo, you reminded me how to take risks, laugh at the chaos, and try new things. But going on a road trip with no plan isn't my dream either. It's yours." Leo's smile faded into a soft, quiet expression. "So, what are you choosing?" "I'm choosing myself," Maya said, a genuine smile breaking across her face. "I got accepted into an internship in Chicago. I move in 2 weeks." A long silence filled the shop until Julian let out a quiet sigh and stood up, extending a hand. "They're lucky to have you, Maya. You're going to do incredible things." Leo jumped up next, pulling her into a tight, warm hug. "Chicago isn't going to know what hit it. Just promise me you'll find a place that serves spicy mango crunch." "I promise," Maya laughed. 2 weeks later, Maya packed the trunk of her sedan, said her final goodbyes, and turned the key in the ignition. As she drove past Sweet Scoops one last time, watching the morning sun reflect off the glass windows, she didn't feel regret or heartbreak. She looked at the open highway ahead, tuned the radio to her favorite station, and drove toward a future that was entirely, beautifully her own. Thanks for sticking around until the end. If you found this story interesting, please consider giving this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And if you want to hear plenty more stories just like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. There's a lot more to unpack in future videos. See you soon.